Hi and welcome back to Cheeky Crypto, and today guys we're taking a cheeky look at XRP and specifically our XRP price prediction. So Chris, this is a hot topic, right? XRP lawsuits and various nonsense going on from the SEC, and yet despite all of that, I'm here to give you some very good news, guys. I think we can see three possible outcomes, depending on your time period that you might be willing to wait. That could see some lucrative returns for the XRP token. And, we're talking significant gains, not small amounts, Chris. We're not talking, moving up to maybe $1 or anything like that. We're talking some meaty gains on the bones of XRP, Chris. This is fantastic stuff. So if you do find it useful, then definitely go ahead and smash up that like button. Chris appreciates it, I appreciate it, and basically the whole XRP community appreciates it. That's how I like to feel it. And if you're not subscribed to the channel as well, guys, then definitely do go ahead and subscribe. By subscribing, you'll be kept up to date with all of the news and events and all the various videos and live streams and all that kind of good stuff that we do here at Cheeky Crypto. So do go ahead and subscribe. And with all that said, Chris, shall we jump on over to the desktop and take a look at the XRP charts and go through this XRP price prediction?
Yeah, let's get straight into it, Nick.
Fantastic. So XRP has been incredibly volatile since late 2020. As we were gearing up for the Spark token distribution, Chris, it was it was all looking very promising. It has lots of potential to move to some very significant price predictions. And then, of course, Mr. Clayton, on his way out, he did disappoint every retail investor he was supposed to be, protecting. Dropping a particularly pathetic lawsuit that even needed amending after the fact, hasn't helped the space here at all for XRP. Many of you obviously watching this video already know this. We already know that the lawsuit's absolute garbage. In fact, I think that's being disrespectful to garbage, and I think you'll agree with that, Chris.
Yeah, we've talked about it many times on streams, and from day one we were like, this is just pure FUD, right? Like, yeah, it seems unusual. The timing was all off, and you look at the fact that, in the case, the SEC obviously had to amend their complaint. And then you've got this, I don't know, jaw-breaking or jaw-dropping news that, Ripple believe, well, they have evidence that the SEC have had an exchange come to them to ask whether it's okay to sell XRP. Is it a security? And they've said no. Fill your boots, off you go. And I'm led to believe that that was potentially Coinbase back in 2019, so not that long ago. And yeah, I think that just kind of says it all. The SEC have such a weak case, on the face of it, on the surface. We've had Brad Garlinghouse and Chris Larsen both file for their lawsuits against them to be dismissed. I could quite easily see Ripple's being dismissed also. Obviously there's far more clever people than myself involved, but if I'm looking at it like that, I'm sure many others would be as well. And I think that sort of ties quite nicely and segues into the price predictions, unless there's anything you want to add, Nick.
No, absolutely. So, so much nonsense out there. The SEC really need to take a long, hard look in the mirror, in my opinion, because they've really embarrassed themselves. They haven't just, hurt every good retail investor out there, but they've also, just ultimately made fools of themselves globally, and it's just ridiculous. They need to sort themselves out. But nonetheless, what they've done, park all of that to one side. Ultimately, the XRP price is going to increase, and potentially all of this actually has just fueled everything to actually have maybe even a better kind of spike because there's built up demand ultimately. So lots of people have been accumulating in this period, and we are no exception to that. There's are fantastic purchasing opportunities in those low areas that we were coming down here in late December, right? There was some fantastic opportunities if you're brave enough to take them. We haven't sold any XRP. We are holding strong, and we have done all the way through this. And I'm going to go through exactly why I think it's important, at least from my opinion, as to why I've held. And more so what these price predictions might actually mean for your holdings and your actual investment, and what that might mean in terms of potential returns. They are big. They're definitely not small by any stretch of the imagination. So here, obviously, we can see the XRP to USD chart. This is just the daily chart. So you can see, obviously, the pump and dump scam that happened on, I think it was the 1st of February, right? We can see that quite clear as day on here. We can also see the rallying back up, hitting the resistance area of 63 cents, coming back down, having Bitcoin's correction here, pulling it down a little bit further. And we're somewhere now between the 23.6 Fibonacci and the 382 Fibonacci area on my chart. So none of that, should be strange to anyone. That's just what it is on here. And any chart can look exactly like this. So what am I talking about in terms of these massive price predictions? At least I call them massive. They're not those $100 or $1,000 kind of price predictions. The finger in the air kind, Chris. It's not one of those by any stretch of the imagination. This is, okay, what can we see within chart data? What is something that we can actually then apply to what we see in front of us now and today. So let's get into that, right? So the first thing I'm going to show you guys is the kin token. Now, we've spoken about the kin token quite a bit, and for good reason. Okay, the kin token in itself has had a similar lawsuit. It sold unregistered securities, right? It was sued by the SEC for exactly this, and ultimately they were found guilty, right? And they paid their fine, and they had to basically apply to sell their security tokens that's now deemed a security, right? So they have to request approval to be able to sell it. They sign the waiver, blah, 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 all that kind of good stuff. And they can continue selling, right, to accredited investors. They can't sell it to the retail investors, but they can sell it to accredited investors. That's important because if that were to happen to XRP, even though there have been things going on in the background to potentially try to block that, it's still on the cards that they could go down that route if they needed to. Although the SEC hasn't requested for XRP to be classed as a security, so park that element for a moment. At this point in time, it's not possible unless the SEC decide to file for that. But at this point in time, XRP cannot be classed as security without the SEC first requesting it. They haven't requested it, therefore that's off the table. So what's the worst thing that's going to happen? Well, Ripple pay a fine. Yep, that's the worst thing that can happen to Ripple. Business as usual. Brad Garlinghouse and Chris Larsen, well, that's totally separate cases. If they're found guilty, they'll pay the fines and probably move on with their lives. Whether or not from a PR point of view, Ripple then have to, part companies with those individuals to keep things, looking good and healthy from a business point of view. That's on Ripple to decide. That's on the board of directors there to figure out. Ultimately, business as usual until that time comes. So I can't really speak on their cases. I'm not even that interested. I'm more interested in, Chris, just the Ripple case.
Yeah, I was going to say, Nick, you've seen what's happened with Tether. Obviously, they've done a settlement. With that being seen, perhaps that could happen with Ripple also. But it's just interesting. It really is. From a legal standpoint, I kind of feel like if you've done the crime, you should do the punishment. You know what I mean? But with that said, if you're accused and you haven't committed the crime, then it's one of those you should battle it out, right? I don't necessarily personally agree with these, fines, but it is what it is, right? It's
it goes to the state as well. It doesn't even go back to the people who the SEC have hurt, but nonetheless, this is the kin chart, right? So we've gone through that little brief history there of why this is important. It's important because the same thing that happened to kin is kind of happening to XRP, so it's an important thing to just bear in mind. But what's more important about this chart is everything that you're seeing in front of you now. I've charted this out in a way that hopefully will demonstrate to you guys what happened after they were found guilty. So within 7 days of being found guilty, the kin token, was basically classed as a security, They were found guilty of selling an unregistered security, and they now had to be able to, request approval to be able to sell it, and only sell it to accredited investors. Okay, it went up 1,000% after that verdict. Okay, 1,000% in 7 days after being found guilty and being classed as a security. That gives me hope for XRP, but it doesn't stop there. Within 70 days of being found guilty and paying their fine and all the security nonsense at Kick Interactive, it went up 2,000%. So even more cause for celebration. Okay, there was a huge rally holding it for a period of time. Longer, doubled your returns on investment, okay, from 1,000 to 2,000 just by keeping it for 70 days. And yet again, just holding it for 132 days, this kin token went up a whopping 4,000%. And that's 4,000% for a security and a company that was selling it, unregistered security, was found guilty of it, paid their fine. Okay, so all the worst things that could possibly happen to a cryptocurrency company, Chris. Their token is a security. They're found guilty of selling unregistered securities. They have to get approval to sell it to accredited investors. They can't sell it to retail investors. And bam, they still get that 4,000% growth. So what does that mean?
I was going to say, with that said, the retail investors couldn't then, after that case, purchase kin token. You had to be an accredited investor. So, that still happened without retail investment. So, I expect bigger things from XRP, but let's keep it sort of lined up to kin. But, just with that caveat that, we could expect more.
Absolutely. So this is the XRP to USD chart, right? Again, on the daily, haven't changed anything. And I've graphed up those percentages, right? If I just move this one up a little bit, because I'm going to have to adjust that a little bit in a moment. We have a 1,000%, we have a 2,000%, and we will have a 4,000%. I'm just going to squish our chart down a little bit so we can actually start seeing what these look like. Okay, so I'm just going to pull that up to that 4,000% level. Right. So we have at the 7-day period, right? So if we would say within 7 days of XRP being found guilty, let's say, the token in theory could go up to $4.63. Okay, so that's a significant price increase. I think you can all agree. Moving on from there, we could see within that 70-day block a $9.30 XRP, right? Massive gains. Now, if we were to wait that 132 days, Chris, we could see this XRP token potentially reaching $18.58. That is massive price appreciation for XRP token. And this is based on worst case scenario, right? This is based on XRP being classed as security, only being able to be sold to those accredited investors. Ripple being fined, Brad Garlinghouse and Chris Larsen, potentially the worst could happen to those as well. This is significant price movement for XRP. This is all-time high territory on multiple accounts. This is, I think, a well worthwhile waiting exercise. This is a holding your bag, diamond hands kind of scenario for XRP, Chris. This is massive for XRP community. Anything you want to add, Chris?
No, not at this point.
In true fashion, Chris has nothing to add. So what we'll do is we'll call it that there on the video, guys. I think this is fantastic, potential for XRP, even given these really troubling times. So hopefully you found this video useful, informative. If you did, then do go ahead and smash up that like button. Chris really appreciates it. I really appreciate it. And I like to think that you appreciate it too. And of course, if you're new to the channel and you're not yet subscribed, do go ahead and subscribe. By subscribing, you'll be kept up to date with all the videos, live streams, and just general stuff that we do here at Cheeky Crypto. And with all that said and done, we hope you have a fantastic day, and we'll catch you all in the next one.
Yeah, take care.